Hello. Today's episode number 79 of the Professor Slots podcast discusses how many winning slot machines to expect to find at any given casino when using most of my winning slot strategies. Plus, in this episode, I'll be covering the current state of slot machine casino gambling in the great U.S. state of Maryland. Thank you for joining me for the Professor Slots podcast show. I'm John Friedel, and this is the podcast about slot machine casino gambling. It is where I provide knowledge, insights, and tools for helping you improve your slot machine gambling performance. In case you missed it, on my last episode, I went over how your state is special, just like every other U.S. state. Further, I reviewed Maine slot machine casino gambling in 2020. I hope you enjoyed listening to my last episode as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Remember to visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Here's the audio recording of my latest live Q&A session. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I assume most of you are in Eastern, not Eastern time, but that it's afternoon. Welcome to the live show, live Q&A session for Professor Slots, the regularly scheduled Saturday 2 to 3 Eastern time, p.m. Eastern time. Please, say hello in the chat. And if you wouldn't mind, hi, Lois. Okay, so I am shown as live, Lois. No sound. Okay. I've got one notification that... Now, can you hear me? Do let me know. Good afternoon, Robert. No sound, Larry. Surprise, Arizona. Thank you. Well, somebody's hearing me. If I'm asking for you to say your state, then somebody's hearing me. Audio is good. Sound problems in your end. Good sound. Sorted now. Excellent. Yeah, I don't know that, we've done like a dozen of these, and it always seems like the first 30, 60 seconds is like, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I'll have to figure out if there's a technical way to make this happen. In any case, welcome everybody. Welcome to everybody who's live. Welcome to watch the comments. Thank you, Dean. And I will get rid of that. Too many extraneous noises. Welcome to people who are live now. Welcome to the people on the podcast who are listening later. Welcome to the people who are watching this video later. So, Union Hunger, appreciate the several conversations today. I answered a few of your questions. So, Denise, hello. Larry, Robert, Lois, and Dave, possibly Dave typing, not that it matters. Who's typing? Russ, Steve, Dean. And, okay, so I'm glad, some people have technical issues of their own, but it looks like, Union Hunger, great name, by the way, is, got his set up. Okay. I don't think I missed anybody there. Now, I always do like to say hello to the regulars. Let's talk about what we are going to talk about today. So last time I got some feedback from several people that it went a little smoother without my allowing myself to be constantly interrupted, even interrupting my interruptions, by watching the chat too closely. So we'll come back to chat. For those of you who've just joined, please tell us, me and the fellow people on the chat, which state are you in? That would be a great thing to share because slots are related to which state you are located in. So it's all very state specific. And that kind of gets into the topic that I wanted to talk about today. It's a bit of an extension last time. I'm getting more and more videos prepared, which are very focused on a particular topic, but I want to use some of these first part of our Q&A sessions. I've done this, but I want to do a little bit more of it, going forward, is kind of talk about general themes to sort of help people get their mind around some of the ideas that I express. And that's really what's going on for the longest time until, some of this, but I'm trying to put it together properly for you now. after 2012, we started seeing these casino business practices. In 2004, I won, 12, 13 hand pays on a non-high limit machine in 6 days. That was odd. That was statistically unlikely if it was only luck. I mean, it was far and away from anything that can happen. I mean, sure, you can be struck by lightning 7 times in a row from your house to your car, but it just doesn't happen. And then, I won for 6 days, and then the 7th day I put my $500 back into the machine as usual, and it was gone in 10 minutes. Instead of, walking out with as much money as I could carry, more or less, in my pockets without, sticking out, after 4 hours. So it was so odd that, I graduated in 2005, graduated, went off to a state that had very little in the way of slots, certainly not, there wasn't a way to win like I had been in that week. So I basically spent 10 years just thinking about, how is that possible? Why is that possible? And I came to the conclusion there's casino business practices. That was one of them. What others might there be? And then in 2012, I came to Ohio and lots of casinos. And so I got back to it using some of my thoughts for those 10 years. If you've read my book, this is kind of how I start the introduction, for my book, which is over my shoulder. You can sort of, let's see, this side. And when I'm not always trying to sell. I try to do it every 5th video or whatever. But when I come to Ohio, 2012, that's when, Modern Casino, just being finished built, opened in March. It's 2013. Yes. So a year after I got here, a year and a month, it opened brand new. No other casinos in the area, and those business practices that are part of having that happen with Modern Casinos, it's not one of the first in the country, but maybe the 10th, 15th, something like that, one of the early ones. That taught me a lot, and I started writing this down. And once I won the car, I wrote the book, and I was like, hey, I got to turn this into a business to help pay my student loans, because wow, I have a lot of student loans, because I have a lot of degrees, even though I worked my way through college. And so I wanted to sort of explain the before and the after, because some people aren't quite aware of that. It's becoming a little more obvious. Certainly in 2012, I'd tell people and they'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, you have to go to this casino or this casino and you'll see what I mean, but you don't. So, okay. But as the time goes by and we all have smartphones, where before we had quite a few less of them, it's becoming a little more widespread. So I have these ideas, which you've heard me talk about, and it's sort of trying to come to the point here. Many people have played slot machines for decades, and you could win on a slot machine that was set up to win manually by a slot mechanic. But then, like I did in 2004, and that was basically it. Aloha. Aloha. Nai. So if you, let me get distracted again. So if you, did that for 20 years, of course it's going to be difficult to switch over to my ideas. And my ideas, and which you hopefully are aware of a little bit, are that there's these casino business practices. Before there was one, now with the new central computer servers at casinos, Modern Casinos, there's many. And some casinos, and I think I've mentioned this enough times for you to know, the 8 different techniques, winning strategies that I have don't work at every casino, because it's based on casino business practices. I've found 7, 8 common business practices. And so you need to check your casino for whether or not those particular business practices exist. if you find that it exists, this is not on you. This is based on the casino. It's not about you being more lucky or not more lucky. It's based on what the casino is doing, and you need to check to see what they're doing. If you find one of these 7, 8 different winning strategies, then the article explains, my articles explain, this is what you do to take advantage of that. And if they don't have a business practice, either the casino business practice that you can take advantage of, anyone that I've recognized, and there might be a few more out there, but I think I've captured a lot of the main ones. New stuff can come out though over time. If you haven't, found it, you're kind of out of luck. It could be that the casino wants to do it, but can't because of the particular gaming regulations in the state. There's a bit of that with the tribal state compacts in Oklahoma, the tribal lottery system. They have 2 lottery systems in Washington. One is just for VLTs based on scratch tickets in Washington. Second, a tribal lottery system. So they're controlled remotely, and the casino just doesn't have access to changing the odds. So on those, you can just fall back onto, I'm kind of giving an overview here. If they don't, if the casinos can't put together casino business practices, then, you have to fall back on the tried and true, right? Leave after a win, money management techniques, being safe, making the most of player club stuff, et cetera. And just like we always have, but the casino business practices stuff is, as far as I know, it's basically unique to me. There's a lot of people out there who know them, but they're not a college professor adjunct, who knows how to present, understands how to put together a YouTube. Believe me, I know we always have that first little few seconds getting things set up on YouTube. But honestly, I'm a technical guy. It's not that hard to have a podcast or set up a website. I've had to figure some things out because everything's kind of been updated. But I have skills outside of playing and winning at slots, and I've used those to start a business. There's plenty of people out there who win at slots, but doesn't necessarily know how to write a book, for instance. So, I'm not saying I'm alone. I'm saying I'm alone having started a business, more or less, on this topic. Okay. So, that's kind of a get you to where you need to be. You've heard some of that. And maybe some of you haven't read my stuff too much. And so that is to get everybody centered. And, so let's talk about the next thing, which is what might you expect? As you may know, I have an article on my main webpage, ProfessorSlots.com, where I talk about identifying your gambling goals. Now, I made a video for YouTube, and it's a great way for me to see what kind of reaction I get from people. And not a lot of people were interested in that video, but they should be, because if you don't know what your goal is, you may be trying to do the wrong thing to achieve your goal. Do you want comps? Do you want cash? Do you want fun? All right. These are somewhat mutually exclusive. And I talk about the relationship between each if you try to do more than one. So let's talk about what you might expect. If you are interested in using, and I assume you are because you're here, the taking advantage of casino business practices. This is a little bit outside of money management techniques, being safe, and other things that I talk about. If you're interested in taking advantage of casino business practices, what might you expect? All right. This is not about how much money you would win. I'm trying to center this conversation on slot machines. One of the misunderstandings that have come out, that have been around for a very long time, 30, 50, 100 years, is people think that the game matters. That the game theme, technically, whatever is being shown on the screen, whether it's Sizzling Sevens or Wheel of Fortune or whatever, people seem to think that matters, and it doesn't. You could have a whole row of slot machines or a circular carousel of slot machines, and they don't have to have the same odds, even if they're the same game, because the casino can set up each one differently. So it's not about the game theme. That's the first point I want to make. What it does matter is the position of the slot machine. For casino business practices, the position of the slot machine matters. And that's getting me closer to the point that I want to make, which is this. How many machines in a casino have been set up to win by a casino? By that casino, by one casino, which is modern, has the central server. How many slot machines might you find that you can take advantage of? 3 at most. Now, there is one technique, the 5-pull method, which if they do it on one slot machine, they can't not do it on all the others in the casino. So that one business practice is, if they're doing it, then any slot machine is game. But all the others, how many wide aisles, almost a walkway, a corridor, has on the end of that walkway in the middle of the casino, how many slot machines are at the end of that walkway? How many slot machines are prominently displayed at an open area like a bar? Not hidden, but like if someone were to win on it, it'd be seen by most people in that area. All right. That's 2. You don't have very many wide corridors, aisles in a casino. So that 1, 2, and then maybe by the door where the modern ones are. That's it. Not all of them, one of them. Greener Pastures, you've been really good about that, far better than me. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. It will help me tremendously to reach a wider audience, and maybe even start paying for some of the rather expensive equipment that I've been buying. But it won't come from you. It'll come from the YouTube system. So I'll come back to the point about 3 slot machines. The one, and I'll come back to the moment. I want to check up on the chat and sort of touch base. If you wouldn't mind, if you haven't done so already, would you please let us know which state you're in? That would be awesome. So we got past the see, chat's working. Good for you, Union Hunger. Thanks, Steve. Wisconsin, Catherine, Hawaii, Hawaii, and a Vegas lover. Yep. What do they call in Hawaii? What do they call Vegas? I was told the 9th island. Russ, Alabama, Catherine, Oregon. Yep. Union Hunger, Don, I think. And maybe you like Harley's. Mississippi, and Mississippi has 3 or 4 regions, and you're in the coastal region. Okay. Lois, Florida, Ontario, Philly. Hi, Philly. Wise Virgin, Slot Machines has 3 computers per ties to the server, was cash in, cash out. Sure. Thank you, Richard. Greener Pastures, thumbs up, everybody. Yes, please. Jingwalk, hello. Greener Pastures, Michigan, my state I was raised in. I would show you on my map. Right there. Dean, Las Vegas, Nevada. Denise, Texas, playing in Oklahoma. We've been talking a lot about that. Philly, Pennsylvania. Richard, Western North Carolina. Hey, Richard, did you find I should just say Wise Virgin for everybody else. Did you get a place to stay in your last trip? I think that was last weekend. Jingwalk, Chris from Minnesota, here again with you. Excellent. Yes, Philly, West, yeah, I was like, WHA, what? Philly, is West Virginia. Hey, Doug, welcome. So, caught up on chat, I think. So 2 or 3 slot machines in the casino, except for the one business practice where they set up all slot machines to offer a taste. That's, and I should say 0 to 3. 0 to 3 is it is possible to find a casino which, it's not what the casino wants, but the state regulations are pretty serious matters for gaming. And, sometimes the casinos just cannot do the things that would be a casino business practice that you could break, that you could take advantage of. So there is the possibility of there is no way. I was talking to someone today who is in Nebraska, and, Nebraska state gaming regulations, no gambling is allowed. No gambling is allowed. Says so right there in the state regs. But poker's not gambling, they say. And neither is video poker, and neither is Keno or bingo, and there's a long list. And any other state would say, but that's gambling. And Nebraska says not in terms of our state definition of gambling, it is not, which is just fascinating. But because they don't have gaming regulations, because there technically is no gaming, interesting logic, that we all have to live with, or at least people who want to gamble in Nebraska. So they have these gaming centers. And I was trying to figure out a way to help these individuals this morning to explain to them how to win. Without the gaming regulations, then we don't know how to take advantage of them with payout return statistics, theoretical payouts. So that's kind of not there, which is true, as we mentioned last week, which is true for a lot of states. It'd be nice to have that, but a lot of people don't. So, let's keep working here. And so, without the state gaming regulations saying limits, that's off the list. And part of my ideas for monetization to sell more than just a consultation at professorslots.com/consult would be to put together like a video course. And one of the things I would talk about is in that I've been thinking is going over, having an analysis more than just my article on every state, an analysis of this is step by step what you do, short, sweet, not really a lot of thinking involved, just work. Right. To try this, try that. And I would put in, tips that I've accumulated, for that state and put that project together. Now that state together, and sell it. And that's going to be a year out. 56, states, and territories in one federal district. So it's going to take a little while, but I'm here for the long run. So, that's something I'm thinking would do if I can get interest. So in Nebraska, it's not as, there's a few things. One thing I noticed, and I haven't really mentioned too much, is, we're talking here about 0 to 3 slot machines or winners. Maybe not 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but they're winners. And it may not be much. You may just be collecting tastes, but if you're interested in stretching your dollar, sometimes this is what you're limited to. If it's a new casino that's just open and there's none around, and they do exist, for the first 2 years, it's just, you gotta, collect the money. It's just huge. And some people wait too long, and the third year it drops down. You can go to professorslots.com/ABC27 to hear all about one of these casinos, Penn National, in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and understand that this is what happens. So I wouldn't want people to not go to a casino if it just opened. That's, a lot going on at those, but the rest of the time you need to sort of collect the cash on a few machines. And I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that that's success. That's what success looks like. The consequences of this, and I know this personally, I would spend 3-4 hours, 3-4 times a week, each time 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours at the casino, my local one, after it first opened, within the first 2 years. 1.5 years, before the odds really dropped because they wanted to start getting the money back. I would play one of 2 slot machines because and this is something I was talking about with Don, with, Union Hunger. So I would, do all the things I've talked about, and I wanted to let you know what happened, which was I found 2 machines. Wasn't 1, wasn't 3, wasn't 0. It was 2 machines. And those are the ones that I played. 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours a night, 3 to 4 days a week for a year and a half. Can you say boring? Except when, that $14,000 jackpot hit and that $27,000 jackpot hit, that was exciting for about 20 minutes. So, it can be quite boring. Now, I was in the high limit room. My goal was to make money. I wanted to see how much, if I was going to make money, I wanted to see what the maximum would be. And I had another goal, which not many people have, which is to learn how to do these things. So the other point that I wanted to make is, I've gone to casino after casino after casino. You may not have. Most of you may not have. And so if you were to go to your favorite casino, often the closest casino, and find 1 to 3, 0 to 3 slot machines, 1 to 3 slot machines, and win on it, you can fully expect that there's not going to be a lot of variety. That you're done. That's success. Until that casino is sold, you won't have to find another slot machine. Until that casino decides to make a big change, usually being sold, you don't have to do much. You go to your machine and play it. Maybe you optimize a little bit, find the right time, remember when to go, remember when not to go. If it stops winning, paying out at 6:00 and you've been going to playing until 6:30, you trim the time a little bit and you just sort of optimize. And that could end up being a lot. That's kind of it. And then you just ride it, for a while. The problem with that is there's a certain skill to finding those slot machines. It's a certain skill to walk the casino, find the boulevards, check out the bar, and figure out which of only a few slot machines might be the one that's set up to win occasionally. Doing that work is a skill, and it may be 2 or 3 or 5 years between times when you figure that out. Because in the meantime, you just play the ones you figured out. Now I go to many, many casinos. Well, many. I'm hoping to go to many, many, once. And I've gotten better at walking in and going, wow, anybody else seeing that slot machine? It's just like glaring at me. It's like really obvious that it's the floor plan at a casino is planned out to perfection. And they know the casino is very good at saying, well, they do the analysis, right? These are not just set down anywhere. These are set down where the casino wants them. And so they're all prepared to do this at casinos that are modern, and most of them are. So at this point, many of them, except the riverboat casinos, because they can't put the wires in because it's not a floor, it's a hull. Okay. So I'm practiced at this casino and this casino and this casino and this casino. And I hope that I can explain how to do that while I still know how to do that. Because my concern that I have is I went to Kentucky, right, last weekend, a little more than last weekend, Friday, Valentine's Day. And I just automatically went to the winning slot machines because I've thought about so much. I'm just like, oh, there it is. Oh, that's the other one. All right. And, I did, when I first got there, the slot attendant was like, oh, somebody won a big jackpot on this one. So I played it. It was their high limit. It was like $1 machine, 5 credits or something like that. And, I spent nearly $100, like $75 of my $200 bankroll. And, had a $10 win on that $75. And I was like, I knew this wasn't the one, based on my theories, but, one of my theories is if you find a slot machine that people say people won on, it was winning once. Maybe it was luck. Maybe it was deliberate, more or less. Maybe a casino business practice. I should play it. Well, I think my instincts are getting pretty good. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk about today, to give you a quick hit, as it were. A taste about immediate result is you are looking for slot machines that have been set up to win. And one of the things that I got reminded of by the individuals in Nebraska, I don't know if they're here, this morning was, when I talked to them this morning, go to your website for your favorite casino or the casino that you want to gamble at and see if they have a jackpot page. See if they have pictures of winners who've agreed to have their photo taken sitting in front of the slot machine that they won on. Because guess what? That's a winning slot machine. At least for them. Maybe it was a lightning strike and just, luck. But maybe that's the machine that the casino set up to win. You should check it out. See if it's in the dark corner of the casino or along the main aisle right across from the bar. You can get an idea of whether or not it's winning just occasionally, lightning strike once, or whether that's the winning machine. Particularly if you look through the pictures and it's the same machine more than once. Not every casino website has that. The wise ones don't actually show it, but the web designer doesn't talk to the slot attendants and the slot attendants don't talk to the web designer. So, if more people if the more of the left hand knew what the right hand was doing, and I have seen this where the left hand talks to the right hand and goes, "You're showing all this on the website? No. We'll put the person in front of a wall so people don't know what slot machine they won at." This is a way to win. At least it gives you candidate slot machines that might have been set up that way. So there's your tip. Okay. Go to the website, see if it's got a winner's jackpot page, and maybe access it from your phone when you're walking around the casino and say, is it that one or is it that one? I've done that myself for a Twitter mention of a regularly winning slot machine at, Four Queens in downtown Las Vegas by one of the major podcasters. Rubin is his name. Scott Rubin, and Vital Vegas is the podcast. He just talks about it all the time. So I found a picture that showed not just the slot machine, which is fine, but also backed up a little bit, and you can see the cashier's cage is over there, the entrance is over there, which slot machines are around it. So it makes it easy to find as long as you know what casino it's in. That's a free tip. By the way, the podcast will always be around, but these tips are going to be hard for people to just sort of find, unless they listen through the whole hour and a half long podcast. So I'm not too worried about, giving away all the secrets to everybody. You are here and you learn these things, and that I'll continue to do this here. While I'll never take this video down, I'm not going to make it obvious. I'm going to what's called unlist it. So if you know about it, you can come back to it. But if you don't know about it, you can't find it. And, so as I develop what I talk about on the Q&A sessions, this is where you're going to find some good stuff. Let's see. Wise Virgin, you got the last room last weekend. Good for you. Nye, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I noticed the Cal Hotel has a lot more big winners lately. Do you think it's due to new hotel Circa is opening soon across the Cal? It's a little obvious, isn't it? Connecticut does this with Massachusetts just before the MGM Springfield, just across the border into Massachusetts from Connecticut did it. ProfessorSlots.com / ABC27 is an isolated casino, and they as soon as they could get a bunch of people coming in at a place that had never been a casino before with slot machines, they had a horse track for a while, for quite a while. They do their thing, and I'm telling you about them. Absolutely. The existing casino, when another casino is coming in across the street, what do? I mean, the example that you build loyalty in your base, you spend a little money doing that. I call it like, have you ever been to like a small town in Iowa? They've tried to maintain the small town mystique, the main street, and not much else sort of thing. What if you had a donut shop on a small town in Iowa, and you were the owner of a donut shop? And what if a donut shop opened across the street? What do you do? Well, you do the usual things. First thing is, you're on the city council, so you make sure they never open. That's the first step. If you don't do that, then what are you serious? Okay, so there's only certain things you can do. within the regulations, whatever. So let's say that part didn't work and the donut shop opened. All right. Well, you have a bunch of people who go to yours. There's nobody who's ever gone to that one because it just opened. You start having sales. I mean, think Walmart, strategies before they started getting in trouble with all the online business from Amazon. I don't know people who know this stuff, but I do. You have a chance to be number one, and keep number one. But you can lose it. So you, of course, build loyalty in your casino when one opens up across the street or whatever nearby, and in advance of their opening. Yeah. Next question. Wise Virgin. Every parking garage spot taken. Yeah. That was, what do we say at work? My day job as an aerospace engineer. That was so 5 minutes ago, Richard. Okay. Joanne, Iowa. Excellent. I used to live in Ames. I was there for 10 years for graduate school, and Prairie Meadows is where I had that 2004 experience I was talking about earlier. Jingwalk. You talked on an earlier chat about attract mode. That is other people's terminology. That might have been Richard or somebody else. That they sort of, that's somebody else's terminology. But I talk about the concept. Slot machines set up to win. It's an old concept because you could do it before casinos had central servers. And so it's a 100-year-old topic. Attract mode. It's very descriptive. You have a little, but it's not the little taste. I don't like attract mode because it's you might think it's two different things. You might think it's one thing when in fact it's two different things. And, so I just don't like the indistinctness of it. So you're calling us attract mode, the little taste of winning. Any suggestions on how to get away with from one of these machines? I'd save a heck of a lot of money. Yes. If I understand the question correctly, my 5-pull method, which you can find in an article. I think it's winning strategy number 1, if I remember correctly. Win immediately. And then, win immediately. If you search for that on my website, you'll find it. That's what I call it. And, I call it, make 5 bets. If you win anything on 1, 2, 3, 4, don't make a next bet. Stop. You got the taste. You're done. All right. Don't go for another 2 hours like I have many times and gone, wow, I just got the first one in the first 5 bets. Maybe I should stop. You're first to win 5 bets. Stop, move to the next machine. Now, being a little subtle here, if you want to be more conservative, make it 2 bets. Because, how many times do you win on the 5th bet? How much more often do you win on the 1st and 2nd bet? So you can save money by just doing 1 or 2 bets. But sometimes it is on the 3rd bet. Sometimes it is on the 4th bet. And kind of rarely it's on the 5th bet. Some casinos set this up slightly. There's adjustments to be made. So I say 5 because it's a pretty good number. Some people like to use 2 to be more conservative. Some people like to use 10 to be less conservative. They may waste a little bit of money, but they're sure to collect the taste. Anything past I've talked to about, telling them my 5-pool method and people adjust these things. Nobody's ever said they went like more than 10. And that's your solution. Because I'm giving out more than 1 tip today. Nye, do you think new hotels would loosen slots for a few months? You mean so a casino that has a new hotel? No, the opposite. It costs money to put that hotel up. All right. They need to pay for it. So they wouldn't loosen slots. What they might do is offer free hotel rooms more than they ever will again, so that people get used to staying at the hotel. right? New casino, loosen slots. New hotel, free rooms. See how it works? Robert, new casino open Wednesday. I don't mean to give away too much here. I'm going to have to make sure I turn this video off within like a few weeks. The whole new casino thing, if you're lucky enough to have a new casino, particularly a new casino without any others nearby, that's the secret. That's the number one secret. Not everybody has that, and they want to know more for other places. Like Iowa has one casino within an hour's drive of every Iowa resident. So it's what's called a saturated market. And it may be that every state in the United States will get like that. Of course, not every state allows casinos, so that'll have to happen. But some days, but not in my lifetime, are we going to get that far. So as new casinos open, remember, you win in the first year, particularly if there's none in the area. You win a lot the first year. You win nearly as much the second year. The third year, they turn the screws and they make you go into bankruptcy if you can't stop. Because you're like, well, I was lucky for 2 years. You weren't lucky. You're lucky that a new casino opened. You weren't lucky to win. I mean, there's a little bit of luck involved, but you were, they wanted it to go that way. It's pretty easy to do it, but the investors can only wait so long. They have to put time into the casino, build up audience because no one ever been to that cornfield before. And that, where now the casino was. And once they do that, they execute, it happened at my local casino. I tell people the best thing you can do, the second best thing you can do is go to a new casino. The best thing you can do is stop going to the new casino when it's no longer new. It's more important than the new casino opening. Just protect yourself. Yeah. Have fun with that casino. Remember to stop. You said Arizona Desert Diamond Casino, West Valley, Glendale, Arizona, the suburb of Phoenix. You have a question about high limit slots. High limit room slots are loose. This is a myth. This is a common myth. I have reviewed every state gaming regulations 2 or 3 times. I'm on my third time through. I'm up to like Maryland, about halfway through the third time. And some states offer the return statistics for slot machine denominations. 5 states offer return statistics, the payout return that actually happened based on slot machine denomination. Nevada, Mississippi, North Dakota. I wrote an article on it, payout returns. So the article about payout returns. 7 financial advantages of payout returns. I'm not going to type it up. You can Google better than I probably. Half the time, I called $5 or more a high limit. Some people might be like $1 if it's 5 bets, but I made a cut. I said $5 denomination or more is high limit, and half of the places that provide the data from the casino to the state, which is made publicly available by slot machine denomination for their state, half of them had better odds on high limit. Half of them had better odds on low limit. And it's a common myth that all high limits are better. No, I think the misunderstanding there that people have is that most wins in a high limit room result in a W2G. So you win $800 15 times on a low limit. That's decent. And if you immediately stop the roll up by pressing the next button to cancel all that ringing sounds that indicate a win, who would ever know? Who would ever know sitting next to you that you just won? I do that all the time so that I don't get the attention. Okay. Wise Virgin, Bristol, Virginia, Kingsport, Tennessee, Johnson City, Tennessee, Tri-Cities, Eastern Tennessee, working on opening a Hard Rock casino in 2022. Tennessee doesn't allow casinos. it's been 6 months, 5 months since I did Tennessee. 5 months ago, they weren't doing it. And Virginia, there's actually 3. Read my articles, professorslots.com / then the postal designation, VA for Virginia, TN for Tennessee. You may have later information. I don't check weekly. I review each state once every 13 months, unless it really makes a big news and I can hear about it. So Tennessee, maybe they're getting them 6 months ago. There was no news. Bristol, there's actually 3 economically struck cities. And I'm sorry, that's not true. I mean, I'm sorry, Virginia isn't, for certain, getting casinos. They have, I remember the state gaming regulations on new casinos. There is a vote in November. There's a vote in November, of the cities that are going to get the casino or have been, proposed to have a casino. They're going to vote in November. And it may not be this November. It may be next November. It certainly wasn't last November because it came out, the ruling came out, like the governor came out with a ruling in like October, and there was no time to put together the November vote. But there might be a vote this year. I haven't checked. Probably more likely next year, in which case then we'll know. Up till now, it's just proposed. And I imagine Tennessee is something like that, and I'll review that state when I get to it. Greener pastures. None of the slot machines talk to me yet. I'm listening though. Just to get back to what I originally talked about at the beginning of the show. If you don't know to listen, why would you? All right. So, I've said before, I am not trying to give you fish. I'm trying to teach you how to fish. So, listen, but not just listen. Watch. That's the thing I'm doing now. As I walk into a casino, I'm like, anybody else seeing how obvious that slot machine is sort of like, trying to pull me over? Any of us? No, it's on the curve of the path and it's facing us, and, people are sitting right there and it's kind of directed at them. No, nobody else seeing this? If you don't know to look for it, why would you notice it? Something I've stopped saying, but I still personally like is, some people figured out calculus by themselves, not the name, but the technique. You might say they're prodigies of what? They're savants at math, but some people have figured out calculus, not the word, but the technique. And by themselves without being trained. But the rest of us, all of us engineers, all of us physicists, all those people that took calculus, somebody told us. All right. And, I'm telling you now, look, listen, and you'll be fine. Let's see. Hey, my father has arrived. I just happened to notice that. Hi, Dad. Okay. Lois. Yep. Yes, I know when his birthday is. Wise Virgin. Isolated casinos, whereby you cannot hop to casino hop, are typically tighter percentages, especially tribal ones and isolated. Except when it first opens. And that doesn't mean that they don't have business practices you can't take advantage of. All these things that we're discussing, I have to believe is very confusing. This is why I just can't tell you and then you're fine. If this was all federal law, then I could say in every state, it's exactly the same, this, or this. But it's not, because it's state law, even, state tribal compacts. So I think, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't have the hope of someday making money. How much do you take to a casino? Why don't you don't go once and pay for a consultation with me? ProfessorSlots.com/consult. spend $150. That's what it is now, because I still have each week some openings. Once those openings get filled, I will raise the price so that a few of them don't get filled, and I'll do that for the next few years. At the moment, it's $150. Would not surprise me if it went to $750 in a year. Would not be surprising to me if it went to twice that the year after. All right. It's $150 now. A typical amount, maybe on the low end for what you might take to a casino one day, on one visit. And I will go over your state. I will review your state, whatever you want to talk about in 50 minutes. I'll prepare beforehand and we will just go through it and I'll say this, because I could talk. I mean, I've already talked for like 12 hours on these question and answers, and there hasn't been a lot of repeat. A little bit, but not a lot. And so, I can specifically answer your questions, but I can't when I'm talking to the world. Okay. I think I'm almost keeping up with the questions. Appreciate all these excellent questions, by the way. Union Hunger. If you haven't used, yes, I see you're catching up. You might have had a phone call, got behind. Drop in a chat message before the end of the show so I can get to it, and then you can watch for it later. You can always pause and then keep up. I have some statistics on that sort of thing, how many people go back and re-listen or something that I said. It's all fine. Just something YouTube does. Doug Heck. A guy was playing Dragon Link, $10 for sin, $2 times 5. Sure. Harrah's, North Kansas City has that machine. A couple of them sort of in a carousel. Some of them are facing the entrance to the casino, and it was easy enough to spot as the winner. People were winning hand pays on it. But the one on the other side, which nobody could see, not so much, even though somebody was playing that one too. Greener Pastures, the FOMO, fear of missing out, keeps me at the machines too long. I like that term. And I have certainly struggled with it myself. What happened to me was I would, spend too much money after a big win. And I eventually disciplined myself to leave, which was wrong. Sometimes, because I was on a winning machine. I mean, it wasn't luck. It was a business practice that I was taking advantage of. And I realized there are times once you can stop, you have to choose to stay. Because if you figured out that it's a casino business practice, you know when to go. All right. I've sat there and won a $4,000 jackpot. 20 minutes later, I won a $10,000 jackpot. And I knew I would. Some amount. So it keeps you at the machine. Yep. You need to learn to walk away. Then that gives you an option. And if you learn when you need to stay, then it's in your control rather than outside of your control. Okay. Kind of like dating. Wow. Do I know that one? And you know your date is not the one, but you keep dating. Yeah. I think that's a very relatable statement. Yeah, be wary of the ones that want to have a $100 meal. Go get ice cream. All right. You'll know in 5 minutes whether or not you want to date. Unless, you want to share a $100 meal with somebody. Who's to say? Virginia just passed House and Senate bill. Doesn't matter. The House and Senate bill in Virginia, and just might have been a year ago. It says, if you read it, that the local municipality has to have an election as part of the normal November election to approve the casino coming to that town. Maybe you would say, yes, of course they would. But you can only do it once a year, and they missed last year, and they might do it this year, or maybe they'll do it next year, and that'll tell you if it's coming for sure. All right. Little details here. Yeah, that House bill was like, October 2018. Max, I'm late, but actually made it today on California time. California time, good morning for a few more minutes. Nye, any suggestions on how to retain all your info and utilize it? As soon as I hit that slot 4, my mind goes numb. Hey man, I'm distracted by chat messages when I'm trying to make a point. Focus. First, what do they say? First step to knowing that you have a problem is knowing that you have a problem. Serious suggestions are, see, you have to work on it. And one of the things that I found, thinking about having a business, thinking about, I've talked to you guys about, is this a business or is this a movement? Should I start thinking in terms of voting blocks within a state to make necessary changes to state gaming regulations now that I'm talking about state gaming regulations so people understand that, we could have this different. We could have updated tribal compacts. We could make pressure. We can do all this. We're too small, but someday maybe we should consider that this isn't a business. Maybe this is a not-for-profit. So state by state, so one of the things the point I'm trying to make here is that I am using logic. I have several questions about using logic to explain slot machines. One is, does anybody care? We're still using logic in the United States? Seriously? Maybe I don't have a business. I think, in the 2 years since I thought of that, enough people have gotten interested in what I have to say that there's plenty of people out there who think about this sort of thing. But it is certainly a challenge. So I thought, I might be a national figure. And outside, I always try to think about the limits. I might be a national figure in talking about winning at slot machines until I realized that most people are quite emotional and very much into an opinion, right, with no facts backing it up, no research, no consideration of analysis, which I'm providing for you. I've met several of you who were, better at spreadsheets than I am, and so I try to kind of stay away from the high end of that, because I need to smile and laugh and be friendly and, try to give everybody what they need, just like teaching at a university. You just do the facts so that people get the facts and they leave. So I need to be a bit of a personality here, but basically everything I'm talking about is logic. It's in this state law. It's in this casino business practice. I review the financial statements and this is what we get. And this is the type of winnings. And if you want to think about it's like in the casino, I can help. If you are going to a casino to find the brightest light you can find to press it while, drinking 2 fists of drinks, how can I help that? Even if you want to walk into a casino and think, they're professionals at not getting you to think. All right. So I recognize your challenge about fear of missing out. They're doing everything they can to make that happen. But you can overcome it. Once you know that that's the whole thing that's going on, good luck. If I can help, let me know. Max Powers, you're late. Yep. California time. Yep. Nye, any suggestions how to retain? Yep. Right. So Nye, yeah. I don't know. When you said your mind goes numb, what bothers you the most? I mean, just to be straightforward here, there's mild epilepsy for flashing lights. Maybe it's a medical condition. They have glasses that prevent that. That's common medical technique. People wonder why they have migraines or something when they just went back some, flashing lights and it takes a little while to get diagnosed. So maybe it's not you. On the other hand, maybe it is. So can you recognize what about the casino bothers you? Makes your mind go numb? Is it, noise canceling headphones? Whatever they all allow. Is it maybe you need shades? Maybe it's the smoke. What makes your mind go numb? And then block it, at least partially. Max, I told my gambling buddies about you. They listened. I bump into people and I mention it, and I don't know what I was thinking when I was like on my cruise writing the book, Free Cruise. Took my sister. She enjoyed, Caribbean. I stayed in the shade so I didn't burn. And I'm writing my book, right? And people would walk up and we'd just have a conversation, and 9 or 10 people just wouldn't stop talking to me about, slots. And I was just beginning conversations. And I went home, flying home, and I was thinking about it. And I'm like, if I was writing a cookbook, 1 or 2 people at most would have stuck around. I think this might work. How naive I was. These days I sit, at the bar at a restaurant, drinking my water with lemon, eating my food, and I hear the word casino, and I've had coworkers, during my day job, come to me. It was Wednesday of this last week. And he's, it's like, oh, somebody's mentioned slots. So I mentioned your name, and they went to your website and word of mouth. That's how we grow. More people join, the more I'll be able to do. Thank you, Max. Dean, what's going on with the slot group name? Any good ones yet? Let me read them off for you. SOS Club from Denise, MSPGA, which I'm not a fan of because it's golf, right? Jan said Smart Slot Souls, which the only problem I have with that, and these are all not to mean serious problems, but I can't say it 3 times fast, and that's a problem. Smart Slot Souls. Slots Army for protecting the best strategies. One-Armed Bandit Brigade. And these are all the militant ones. Greener Pastures, thank you for that one. I should mention who provides all these. Richard Wise Virgin did the armor stuff. I also have Slot Hunters by Sudan. The Wizard Squad by Jane. Not quite sure how that relates. I have to think about it. Slot, and these are all from Greener Pastures again, who's been very active in suggesting things. Slot Masters, Jackpot Runners, Dr. John's Jackpot Jockeys. Dr. John's Slot Posse, Dr. John's Slot Masters. Then Professor Crusoe's Slots from Steve, Advantage Slot Players from Josh, and Slot Advantage Players from Josh. Mostly I'm collecting them. I probably, we'll see how much I need to collect. It's not an urgent need to switch, but I'd like to get a list and maybe drop ones where I can't actually say them. And then put out a poll, see if we have something. Thanks, Lois and Dave, and everybody else, including my father. Happy birthday, Dad. Coming up in a couple days. I hope you have a good one. And, all right. Thank you, Dudley. Make sure you subscribe. Everybody, please, subscribe. Then you'll get messages about when the next one is and when my other videos come out. And that helps me grow, which is important at this stage, in order for me to be funded on some of the stuff that I'm doing. Getting, every month, putting money in. And what's the other thing I've been saying lately? In 3 to 5 years, I should be an overnight success. I hope that's funny to you. Hey, everybody. Have fun. Be safe. Make good choices. Bye. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. This is the second segment of the show on slot machine casino gambling. Here, I provide a brief overview of the current state of gambling in one U.S. state, territory, or the federal district, emphasizing by far anything of interest to slot machine casino gamblers. Up next is Maryland slot machine casino gambling in 2020. Here goes. Maryland slot machine casino gambling consists of 6 land-based casinos with video lottery terminal, VLT, slot machines. Cruise ships traveling to international waters also offer onboard gambling options. A minimum theoretical payout limit has been set by Maryland law. However, no actual return statistics are publicly available. The minimum legal gambling age in Maryland depends upon the gambling activity. For land-based casinos and poker rooms, it's 21. For bingo, the lottery, and pari-mutuel wagering, it's 18. Further, the minimum gambling age is 18 for cruises shipping out of Baltimore. In 2008, Maryland voters approved having slot machines at 5 locations. This constitutional amendment included a licensing and regulatory legal framework for casino operators, employees, and contractors, as well as specifying where to allocate state gaming income tax revenue. In 2012, Maryland voters further approved a gaming expansion bill allowing table games at Maryland's casinos, as well as another Maryland casino. This 6th gambling license, awarded in December 2013, resulted in MGM National Harbor's opening 3 years later. Next up is a usually short statement about slot machine private ownership, which I have included in case you live in this U.S. state and are considering owning a slot machine. Here it is. In Maryland, it is legal to own a slot machine privately if it is 25 years old or older. The State Gaming Commission is Maryland Lottery and Gaming, responsible for overseeing gaming regulations compliance, employee background checks, the day-to-day operations of machines at each casino, and more. In this section, I discuss Maryland gambling establishments. There are 6 non-tribal casinos and 2 international cruise ships based in Maryland. The largest casino in Maryland is Live! Casino Hotel Maryland, with 3,853 gaming machines in January 2020. The second largest casino is MGM National Harbor with 3,135 gaming machines in January 2020. Maryland has 6 land-based casinos. As usual, when there are too many casinos to mention here, a complete list along with links to the websites, assuming they've set one up, is available on my website blog article for this state at professorslots.com/MD. Maryland has no tribal casinos due to having no federally recognized American Indian tribes. As an alternative to enjoying Maryland slot machine casino gambling, consider exploring casino options in a nearby state. Bordering Maryland is, to the north, Pennsylvania, to the east, Delaware, to the south, Virginia and the District of Columbia, and to the west, West Virginia. To visit any of my articles in these U.S. states, simply visit professorslots.com followed by its 2-letter postal designation. For example, my Pennsylvania slots article is available at professorslots.com/PA. Are you interested in sharing and learning with other slots enthusiasts in Maryland? If so, join our Maryland Slots community on Facebook at professorslots.com/FBMD. All you'll need is a Facebook profile to join this private Facebook group freely. There you'll be able to privately share your slots experiences as well as chat with players about slots gambling in or near Maryland. Again, use this convenient link I've created to go directly to our group on Facebook, professorslots.com/FBMD. Join us. Maryland gaming regulations require a minimum theoretical payout of 87% on average over its lifetime for each VLT gaming machine. Furthermore, overall for all VLTs at a casino, the minimum and maximum theoretical payouts must average between 90% and 95%. Unfortunately, monthly revenue statistics from the Gaming Commission excludes amounts returned to players. Therefore, actual return statistics are not publicly available. In summary, Maryland slot machine casino gambling consists of VLT-style slot machines at 6 casinos. Further, 2 cruise ships offer slot machines when sailing out of the port of Baltimore to international destinations. Maryland gaming regulations set a minimum theoretical payout of 87%. Also, overall, for each casino averaged over all slot machines, they've set minimum and maximum payout returns of 90% and 95%. Over the last year, there has been no change in the slots gaming industry in Maryland. Remember to visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Part 1 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast is, most likely, a live Q&A session on YouTube. Remember, my weekly Q&A session on YouTube is on Saturdays from 2 p.m. until 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Bring whatever slots questions you have, and I'll do my best to answer them. An easy-to-remember link to my YouTube channel is professorslots.com/live. Feel free to stop by anytime during my hour-long Q&A. To suggest a topic or ask a question which might end up as a blog article or on a podcast episode, email it to john@professorslots.com, where John is spelled Jon. Part 2 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast is another brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or the federal district. Next time, I'll be talking to you about the great U.S. state of Massachusetts. That's the end of another great episode of the Professor Slots podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Show notes for this episode are now available within most podcast apps, but are also available on my website at professorslots.com/episode 79. I plan to have the next episode come out very soon for you, where I'll have more amazing content for the show. Until the next episode, have fun, be safe, and make good choices. Bye.